Hey, what is going on, everybody? James here, your AVX audiophile. Today, I'm going to tell you about a flat pack DIY speaker that will kind of change your mind about transmission line speakers as well as the DIY space. If you're the kind of person that wants to get ultimate bang for buck, meaning that you would like to spend $1,000, $1,200 and be able to put together a speaker yourself that will punch up to 4 to 6 times the price in quality, performance, and everything as you were comparing it to the retail market. You're going to want to check out this video. We're going to be looking at the Neil Blanchard MLTL-6s, a pair of large stand mount speakers that are just absolutely fantastic. I'm going to show you guys these things. We will walk through my process of building them. We'll actually assembling them. And then we will tell you how they sound, how they performed, what we thought about them. And maybe they're for you, maybe they're not. The cool thing about Neil Blanchard Designs is he is a USA based company, builds, designs everything right here in the United States. You basically buy the schematics, the drawings from him. You buy the crossover, plans, and then you go out and you source the drivers, the crossover parts. You come back, you assemble everything, and at the end of the day, you have a fantastic looking speaker, depending on your your ability to build things, and a amazingly good sounding speaker and performing speaker. So he provides all the measurements, all the stuff, really cool support. He's all there for you. He's actually in our Discord too, if you'd like to jump in and check him out in our Discord. But here they are behind me. Let's take a look at them. And man, it's going to be a fun time. I'm excited about this. I've been waiting a long time to do this review. We actually have had these for many, many months. I've lived with them in many, many different systems. I sent them to a handful of my buddies' house because I was so excited about them and I wanted to have them listen and give me their feedback. So now we've got all that together for you to bring you a full package review and rundown of, again, the Neil Blanchard MLTL-6s. Let's go over here and check them out and get a beer while we're over there. All right, so that was just a visual overview of the speaker. Some of the pictures that I took when I kind of built this thing. $350 for the flat pack. That's just the wood. And then I think it's like $150. I can't remember exactly. Don't quote me. Go to his website and check. For the crossover design, then you have to buy all the crossover parts. I highly advise you go with the highest quality parts. Neil gives you some great suggestions on where to buy the parts and what parts to get. And then the drivers, it runs a 6-inch paper SB Acoustics driver, which is absolutely fantastic. Very, very balanced and musical speaker. A nice 1-inch dome tweeter, which is the one that we used, or he has this special kind of ribbon tweeter that you can buy. If you notice some of the other pictures, we didn't go with that, but he's got a couple different options there. We went with this one because the flat pack comes with the hole in it for the tweeter, but you can get the top mounted option there, and I'm not sure what the price differences are there. But like I said, all in all, about $1,200 to get the sandpaper. We just used some like wood oil. We didn't stain or lacquer ours. We just kind of sealed it. But you can paint, do any kind of finish you want. But sandpaper stains, screws, crossover parts, drivers, wiring, binding posts, polyfill, maybe $1,000, $1,200 out the door. But let me walk you through my build process, some of the things that we thought and ran into, and I'm gonna run downstairs, get in our beer. Let's go. Okay, here we go. All right. Okay, so we jumped over to camera B here. Here you can see we got everything in. It all comes pre-cut. I mean, all the holes, all the little, every piece, it's all the routering's already done for it. He's got it all labeled for you. You're basically just, assembling these pieces. I dry fit them a bunch of times. It really helped. I would highly advise that you guys dry fit these, clamp these, have your sandpaper ready in order to get all of the joints really, really good and make sure everything fits nice and tight. You're going to put this thing and take it apart probably 4 or 5 or 6 times and really just kind of get tuned in. Have that, like I said, have that sandpaper ready. You're going to have to just kind of fluff some of those edges a little bit. Right off the bat, this is the first time I put it together. It does just come together perfectly. But as you kind of get into really finalizing this thing, what you'll notice is there's a little teeny gap here. So, when you go to put this thing together, make sure you got a clamp there that pulls those seams tight. Just little things like that. These clamps are really cool. They are like just a, you can see down here, they're just basically a band you wrap around. They've got the 90-degree corners on them. You just snug it up with this, little hand tightener there. You got plenty of material left over. I bought a bunch of these things, but just dry fit this a bunch of times. It all comes cut like this. Everything goes together 99.9% perfectly. Here's the inside. You can see he's got all of the radius and everything. You'll put these 2 little posts across here that hold the wiring and the foam or the polyfill and stuff. So there's kind of an inside shot. All the joints are looking really nice. Everything's marked out really well. It went together. I mean, just as easy as putting together Legos. You can see the recess here for the tweeter. Plenty of bracing inside this thing. This is all, really thick, voidless, awesome level wood. So again, we're just dry fitting these things, side panels, everything, bada bang, checking them all, making sure when you're clamping, you're getting all these corners tight. You can 45 degree these corners. If you look at some of the pictures on his website, he does. I just left things square because I wanted to build these things super easy for everybody. So you could just buy the flat pack and just slap it together. You wouldn't have to mess with anything. Again, these band clamps really, really doing well here. Here you can see we're getting a little bit more serious. We got a couple of these things. These are Horosday clamps. You can get them on Amazon. I don't think they were very expensive. If you got everything fit up right, you could probably get away with like 6 of these things. But I'm telling you guys, the more clamps, the better. Again, we're still just like basically kind of dry fitting here, making sure everything's going together good. This is what I ended up doing. I know this looks excessive, but trust me, you cannot have enough clamps. Go to Harbor Freight, pick up these things. They're like $6 a piece. If you're going to get into the DIY space, it's good to have them anyway. And here they are. So we used a couple band clamps, 4 band clamps, just to get everything kind of mocked up together. And then we used these bar clamps, these slide clamps, get the 18-inch ones, and make sure you got plenty of room, and just put them everywhere and suck all of those corners in. Focus really heavily on these corners, making sure everything's nice and tight there. And this is all like, some of these you'll see glue because we're in the gluing process, but do all of this before you do any glue, and do it a couple, 3 times so you get really good at like slapping these together quickly, because you want to get a good tight bond glue that's going to dry quickly. You don't want to be messing around with stuff. Don't worry about glue oozing out. You'd rather use too much glue than not enough. You can always scrape it off. It sands down later. Don't worry about it. Get enough glue in there. You can see glue just dripping everywhere, all over the clamps and everything. Okay, guys? So don't be afraid of clamps. Excuse me. Don't be afraid of glue. Here you can see we've got the final product done. This is glue. We let it sit. It says cure in like a half hour. I'm telling you, man, I cannot move that stuff after like a half hour if you get some of that quick dry stuff. But we let it sit overnight. Came in, took the clamps off. Again, you can see the glue oozing out of this thing. We're going to move into the finishing processes now. Here's just another picture of, this is actually Neil's picture of kind of the inside. I liked this photo, but everything goes together really, really well. Here's the binding posts. We just bought, off AliExpress or Amazon or whatever, just some good, quality, decent binding posts. Now we're going to get into the finishing process. So we walked it down with, 80 grit, 100 grit, 200 grit, 300 grit. We walked this thing down with a bunch of sandpaper. We did use some mechanical sand or some electric sanders. Take your time with this. Get those edges really nice, but be careful. The top layer of some of this plywood is really thin. So if you get too crazy with your sandpaper, you're going to sand through that top layer. So that's why it's real important to make sure that when you're doing your fit up and you're gluing and going through this thing, make sure all your stuff's good. You want to have minimal sanding. Like when I got done with this thing, I probably could have just hand sanded the entire thing. I took so much time. You'll see here the back panel. The only issue that I had was with this back panel, and it was very small. It was a little bit tight to fit into this square. So I actually had to take some sandpaper and just kind of soften up some of those edges to get a really precise fit on the back there. But other than that, it was was absolutely phenomenal. We're going into the staining process. We just used like a wood oil. I wanted to keep them really natural, so here you can see one that's not done and one that's done. We put a few coats on it over a few days. Somebody's trying to attack me in my house. You can see here, there's basically now we've got 2 or 3 coats on this. We've been doing it for the few days. I really like this look, man. I like leaving these layers exposed. It darkened it up really nice. It looks really, really cool. And that was that guy. I mean, just look at this richness and tonality here, man. Just those multi-layer. Be careful when you're doing this back panel. If you're going to do a lacquer or like some kind of finish or something like that, make sure you let this really dry before you put that back panel in there. You'll end up gluing the damn thing. We just oiled it really, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But make sure you get in here and, man, just look at that wood grain. Oh my God, that's so cool. Here's the top finish. This birch really pops, man. The grain's looking good. Everything's looking really good. Again, man, just so nice. Here's a look at the back. We got the rods in there. These 2 poles, and this is one of the things you got to be careful, because when you put this thing together, if you don't put these in, then you're going to have trouble later, and they got to support your wires and the polyfill, because what you do is you fill this upper layer with polyfill. Nothing goes down below, and you want to be able to get that stuff on. Here's the different parts, drivers, nice paper drivers, SB acoustics. We went with all Mundorf clarity. I mean, we went really high end with this thing, and it pays off. So now we're moving into the process of kind of building the crossover, getting ready to do that. We've got the speakers, we've got our wire, we've got everything ready to rock and roll. Here you can see me putting together the crossover. Neil provides you with all of the plans, so everything will be good there for you guys. You can get all of this stuff depending on what values and stuff you're going to go with and stuff. Now we've got the crossover, the back panel mounted. You can see the wiring coming out the front. We're getting ready to mount the drivers. I used a silver worm, silver-plated copper wiring. I'm really glad I did. Here's actual picture of the crossover that Neil provides on his website. So you can see kind of how he built his. You can get creative here. Here's our finished speakers. I mean, look at these things, guys. Oh my God. I use these square head screws with a little rounded top on them. You can get creative there. It looks really, really cool. Again, finished, that nice 6-inch driver, nice paper driver, all this really cool stuff, guys. It looked really, really good. It was really fun to build, really easy to build. Here they are in the room. We got some nice stands. They are a very deep speaker, a nice transmission line speaker. Really, really good. So there's kind of my finished product. I mean, look at those things on the stands, guys. These things sound and perform really, really good. Let's jump back over and we will talk about that. But yeah, there's our finished product. Highly recommend building these things. Let's get back over to scene A, and I'll talk about how these guys sound, and we'll get y'all out of here. Fun stuff, man. All right, guys. Well, that was a rundown on the Neil Blanchard MLTL6 transmission line speaker. How do these things sound when you're done? So I'm going to tell you right now, these are probably one of my favorite stand mount speakers that we've had in this year. And we've had a lot. We've had the 1 TDXs. We've had a couple DIYs from some buddies. We've had the Atoll GT1s. We've had a plethora. We've had the Mark Audio Sesti Bs that are behind me. We've had a lot of really cool stand mount and bookshelf. Oh, the Platamon, the Mon Acoustics Platamons, which you can see right over there to the side. Fantastic, $6,600 pair of speakers. The Neil Blanchards, as far as quality, like timbre, tonality, and sound, man, they punch right up there with some of the best of them. They are not going to be the most refined, crystal clear, super lean into the soundstage with that forward edge and clarity, kind of like that ultra kind of audiophile sound. You're not going to get that. These are a more natural, slightly warm. You're never going to get fatigue from these things. They have a very nice sweetness to the top end. The mid-range is rich and robust. Vocals and instrumentation just sound absolutely fantastic. They do have good high-end extension and air, but not so much that like, compared to like my Atoll GT1s or even the Platamons, those have much more extension in that top end. But I haven't messed with that other tweeter that Neil offers for his speakers. So if you really like a more musical approach, a more organic approach, a more real sound that's going to bring a life and a nice vibrancy without pushing over the top and becoming sibilant and fatiguing. If you want a speaker that you can have on axis and coming right at you and just get nice depth of soundstage and just really kind of maximize that soundstage and dispersion and those effects that happen there, This is a really good speaker for that. I thought it was really great. As far as the bass is concerned, I've heard a few different transmission line speakers, and I've always loved the transmission line bass. It is so accurate, so detailed. It's got a nice nuance and texture and a realness to it. These extend very low. I think he says something like flat down to 32 hertz, and then they tail off a little bit, but man, you would swear they go way deeper than that. In this room, they are almost too much bass. This is a 12 by 11 room, my studio where I'm shooting behind you. I'm usually listening just right up in front of the camera there, turned around the other way. In my main room, which is 18 by 16, I believe, on the long wall, I didn't feel like I needed a sub there. Some people are going to feel like they need a sub there, but still, they fill the room. The bass is very, very nice. There's plenty of bass there, guys. I would not worry about that. Yeah, and overall, man, just an awesome performer for $1,000, and it's a cool product. You're supporting Neil, a cool USA manufacturer. He's doing a lot of good stuff. I really like to see him succeed, and I think that there is a massive value here if you have the ability to do what we just talked about. These are one of those speakers that are going to give you goosebumps, man. When you sit down and listen to this thing and the richness of that music starts coming through, and they play on a wide array of amplification. They're not super low sensitive. They will play on lower watt, 20 watt Class A, 15 watt Class A, nice GaN-FET Class D if you want to liven them up and really bring, kind of that performance aspect to them. They will scale with your gear. Tube amplification, man, you can get into some magical sound stage with some really three-dimensional holographic presentation there. They just do it all well. So, yeah, that's my rundown of the Neil Blanchard ML-TL-6 stand mounts. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it was a little bit of a long review, but it was well worth it. I think Neil deserves it. And, man, DIY is bang for buck, yo. You guys are going to have a hard time finding a retail speaker that's going to do everything that these do for $5,000 and under. I would say that's going to be tough. It's all going to come down to a flavor profile or preference at that point. But as far as performance, bang for buck, quality of music, you're going to be punching right up there with these guys. So check them out, build them. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Jump in the Discord if you want to talk to Neil in real time. He's in our Discord. He's hanging out with us all the time. Stay tuned. We're going to build more of his speakers because I love this guy. All right. We'll catch y'all later, and y'all have a fantastic holiday and a weekend. See ya.